And this polling unit, as I said earlier on, has 744 registered voters, and Abbas Muhammad, the presiding officer, said about 500 turned up for accreditation. The accreditations here started about 8 a.m., but because of the high number of people that turned up for accreditation, the exercise did not stop until about 30 minutes ago. At 2 p.m. on the dot, the presiding officer stopped people who had not joined the queue before the accreditation exercise started. He prevented them from joining the queue so that they can comply with the electoral guideline. It's the birthplace of General Buhari. He was born here about 72 years ago, and he has lived here before moving to the city center. A lot of supporters are here giving their moral support, trying to see the general cast his votes. The registration area, as I said earlier on, is Serikin Yara A. This is Serikin Yara A, where General Buhari has been able to cast his vote. In a short while, we'll get to interview the general to find out how his experience has been so far, right from the accreditation process in the morning up to the time he voted. The crowd are still enthusiastic. They are waiting, anxiously waiting to see their candidate, who was escorted here amidst tight security to cast his vote. The general appears to be coming out, and we will be able to track him to get his own opinion of the voting exercise. The crowd here has been orderly so far, up until the general came to cast his vote. They've been quite orderly. There has not been any incident, no issue so far. Yes, I'm the one.
Live footage from Daura in Katsina State, where General Muhammadu just cast his vote in the midst of a large turnout of supporters. As our correspondent Lucky Obewisawale said, there was over 700 voters were registered in that polling unit, and about 500 or over 500 turned up for just accreditation. And according to him, even more of them came when the general came to cast his vote.
Well, the other thing is that apparently not Lucky's day. He's not lucky today
He's
to
not
get
lucky
a word,
to have gotten a word from
an interview
the general.
from the general. So that's for the second time about trying. But yes, you can see, of course, lots of people coming through to participate generally across the board for these elections. But the other thing that we've seen so far, maybe until the news keep developing, the stories keep developing, we haven't witnessed, because preceding elections where before the introduction of the corridors, snatching of this, the conduct of the voters on election day. So far, it appears different this time.
Yeah, I think one of the objectives of the card reader in that respect has been to bring a kind of an equilibrium, to allow for tensions to be doused, and even those who will normally embark on this violence, they've found out that, look, the card reader supposedly has stopped them, because they cannot bring their own cards to stop the ballot box. And at the same time, you cannot import people from somewhere that they can vote because they won't have the PVC for the polling station. So it has had a dousing effect on violence generally in the electioneering process. And I think that is why I believe that the card reader is still a paradigm shift in the sense that it represents a watershed for non-violent, free and fair election as compared to what we have seen in previous elections. And the results that are coming in all over Nigeria have shown that we've had pockets of violence, but compared to previous elections, the level of violence has been very, very minimal. The only violence we've had reported is the explosion in Enugu so far. The theaters of war, so-called, like rivers, that we were all, everybody has had bated breath about the outcome of election in Rivers. Till date, there's been no record so far.
All right. The footage you were just seeing there was still coming in from Daura in Katsina State. Now, the number of, let's look at the turnout of people that came for that accreditation. We talked about the passion. Yeah. I mean, across the country where people are willing to stand under the rain. But has it ever been this way? I mean, yeah, that's the footage again. 734 registered in a particular unit. 500 turned up for accreditation. Now, yesterday we asked Babajide about a negative change in the number of PVC distribution between February 17th and March 21st. This footage doesn't point to any negativity in PVC change because he said some people might have gone to return their permanent voters cards because it's not mine or there's an error or something. But what do you think, looking at that footage, what do you think of, or what does it say of the people in Daura?
I think there's also, the number would have been higher if they had shown up early because your correspondent there said that they stopped accrediting at 2 o'clock. So those who were not in the queue. So I have a feeling if they had continued, the numbers would actually
have gotten up to that 734.
Yeah, or maybe not.
It's just
not exactly.
That's just one polling unit there.
Exactly. So
that means they might have started earlier and it went well.
Yes,
they started
obviously.
at 11.
Oh,
yes.
11, yeah, they didn't start on time.
Okay,
So-
should have been 8.
Yeah, should have been 8.
So that's
they were 3 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, but so far, I mean, who knows if we can extrapolate. But then, has this process really come to stay, do you think?
I think it has. And if I may take you back, Professor Yewo, about how the card reader is a watershed, and it has never happened like this before. I want to take you back to the primitive way that we did it in 1993, and there was also a huge turnout. It was the option A for the open, whatever. People queued up to be counted, like the old way. So that also worked.
Yeah, but it was accompanied with a lot of violence because the whole process of queuing beyond people there were a lot of pushing and this one you've seen that most of the polling units that they've shown, there have been a lot of orderliness. It's like when you are rushing to catch a plane those days and it was free sitting. The tendency is that everybody, but when you know that your seat is on your boarding pass, your PVC, it calms you down.
Yeah. No, but in 1993, there was also queuing up. People queued up to be counted. But today, people are still queuing up to be accredited and to vote. But the point I'm making, I'm not making a case for going back to option A for whatever it was called back then. What I'm saying is that, yes, when Nigerians are enthusiastic, excited, invested in the process, they will show up and be counted regardless of the process, regardless of the system that we use. So the electronic system works in eliminating rigging. But in 1993, because people were tired of the military, people really wanted a change. So a change, using the word in quotation marks, but back then a change from military to civilian, not a change the way we use the change today. And so people came out. So when Nigerians see something that they want, they're interested in, they will show up and they will be peaceful and they will be orderly regardless of the process. But hopefully the card readers will work.
You spoke about Rivers. So let's check now.